Welcome back to the Black Sports Insiders. I'm your host, Wilton Jackson, and today we have Alabama State head coach Eddie Robinson Jr. Coach Robinson, it's good to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Good to be here. Appreciate you guys showing the HBCU family a little love and giving us a platform.
Absolutely. So, Coach Robinson, I just have to ask, everybody's always talking about, Alabama State football and what's going on there, and more so specifically your defense. Obviously, you're coming off of a weekend, a loss to FAMU, but, still a lot of season left to play. What do you tell your team after a loss, and more so than anything, what keeps you motivated and excited each week?
I think the kids. The kids come out every day. They pray hard. They practice hard. So they don't let you have a bad day. They're kids. They have short memories. They get back to the next one. So I think the coaches, we probably hold on to it longer than the kids. I woke up usually by Sunday. That's our last day to get over it. But Monday, I talked at the staff meeting. Because I woke up Monday morning, I told them, hey, I had an epiphany about the game. It was like one more thing that I had to tell them, just how we can improve. So those losses kind of stick with you. They linger. They definitely hurt. And so hopefully you learn a lesson. You learn how to get better. But the defense is playing at a high level, and we just want them to continue that. Real prideful group. Coach Lewis, our defensive coordinator, Coach Williams, secondary coach, Middleton, D-line coach, all those guys. They have those guys out there competing. So we love the way they're playing, and they're doing a lot of special things this year. So didn't get the W, but they played good against a good offense and got some turnovers and some sacks.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Granted, you've obviously dealt with some adversity with this team thus far. Andrew Body was the starting quarterback at one point in time, and then you went to a backup, and now you're at another backup quarterback. How are you able to continuously navigate this process of throwing in another quarterback, balancing a dominant rushing attack, but really more so than anything, how are you keeping this team afloat offensively, especially with as well as your defense is playing?
Yeah, but it's a challenge. But, I told the kids a long time ago, after the first game, we had two quarterbacks, Andrew Body and the second quarterback, Jonah. Both of those guys got hurt in the first game. And then the second game, our third guy, who was a true freshman, he got hurt in that game. So you had two games and your top three quarterbacks were injured. And those are the guys who usually take most of the reps. So, now we're on the guys who were slated to be 4 and 5. And the other kid, Key, he was actually a wide receiver when he first got here. And we just moved him to quarterback after week 1. So he hasn't even had a lot of quarterback reps. But we don't look at it as a problem. We look at it as an opportunity. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. It's an opportunity to go out there and win with a young freshman and have a dominant defense, great special teams, and a great running attack. And those guys will come along as they pick up more and more of the offense. We'll be able to expand and do more offensively in the passing game and play to their strengths. But it's just an opportunity to go out there and win a football game. So if you look at it like that, you look at the positive side of it, then you don't have to worry about thinking about the negatives of it. And so you just have to go out there and play football. Football is such a great reenactment of life. It's just a window of it, because sometimes in the world things don't go your way and it's not your fault. But you just have to go out there and perform. Your baby still wants that new dress, so you better go out there and get a second job. So that's what I tell the kids.
I like that analogy. That's a really good analogy. When you think about the young quarterbacks that you're working with now, you talk about using it as an opportunity. What piece of advice do you give them? Obviously, as a quarterback, you never want to come into a game where you're limited in terms of being able to pass the ball, or you're struggling to pass the ball. What piece of advice have you given your quarterbacks in navigating this space right now?
Yeah, it's the same advice that I had playing in the NFL. It's the same advice I give to the whole team. Consistently good equals great. And I think quarterback, more than any other position, you cannot go out there and try to be the hero. If they're gonna give you the $20 cash in the flat, take the money. Don't worry about, I'm gonna write you $100 check next week, and then you want to throw the deep ball in the double coverage. So that's my message to all quarterbacks, mine and any otherbody else. So if you look at the Tom Brady, the Joe Montanas, those guys, the great guys, they were consistently good. They were very accurate. They didn't throw a lot of interceptions. They took what you gave them, check down, backs out the bag, and then when you made a mistake, then they made you pay for it. So consistently good equals great. And if they have that mindset, don't try to win the game. Just go out there and play your game. And then it may be times, if you're down by 5 and it's 45 seconds left, well, then you got to be great. Now you got to try to make an extra play. But if they just run the offense and just be consistent, then we'll be fine.
If you had to give a grade for Alabama State football right now, what grade would you give?
Well, I think with the adversity, it'll probably be B- C+, simply because, we're judged by wins and losses. And so at the end of the day, we're 2-3, so we're not getting the job done. But at the same time, we're 1-1 in the SWAC, so we have a whole lot of football ahead of us. And so we get a couple more wins, you get a higher grade. And so I think at the end of the day, that's what I tell the kids. We're here to win football games and graduate you guys from college. So everything else nobody cares about. And so we have to go out there and play, love the people in the room, love the people that's next to you, and everybody pull for each other. And we all have our personal goals, and that's great. But if you put the team goals first, then, you'll get everything you want out of football.
This is a good segue for this question. You talk about goals. A lot of your goals of what you're wanting to compete for a SWAC championship, more so before that, a SWAC East crown, are still ahead of you, even though you lost to FAMU. Where are the players' mindset after coming off that loss?
Yeah, same way. I mean, we win today, and so we always focus on winning each day. We don't look at the big picture. We got caught up into that last year early in the season, and so we learned from that. And so now we know we win today. So our only objective is to beat Mississippi Valley this weekend. And so and after that, we'll go to the next game. But for right now, we can't worry about anything else. Had we beaten FAMU, we would still be in the same situation because we would have to keep winning. So that wasn't a game that was a SWAC East Division championship game. It was another game on the schedule. And it's okay when you have a loss. It hurts, but if you don't learn anything from the loss, then that's the mistake. So we have to figure out what caused us to lose that game. Turning the ball over, missing field goals, playing good defense, but not playing good third down defense, not getting off the field on third downs, and then not converting on third downs on offensively. So the penalties were good. The effort was good. The attitudes were good. We played hard. So we did a lot of good things, but we didn't do enough game-winning things to in order to get a W. And to FAMU's credit, being a championship team, when we made a mistake, they took advantage of it. We threw the interception, they scored on the next play. We fumbled on our own 10, ball on the ground, they picked it up and scored. So it was 14 points that we kind of hurt ourselves with, but that's all part of it. You can't play 120 plays and take out 3. They all count. And so that's what the guys have to realize. You go back to practice, and you have to practice with a sense of urgency, having some intentionality where every play is going to count, and that's what we'll emphasize the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Now, you talk about, playing with your goal still in front of you. Obviously, running the ball for you guys has been dynamic. 3 dynamic running backs that all can, make plays for you in the offense. What's so special about this group?
Well, I think the biggest thing is not a lot of complaining, and that's rare when you have a group like that where everybody wants to touch the ball and they support each other. But, it seemed like at every point during the season, knock on wood, everybody's been a little banged up. There's been a nick here, a nick there. So you may see one guy or 2 guys are getting a little bit more carries this game, and it's a different 2 or 3. The next game is because we have the luxury. Hey, if you have a slight hamstring or a big toe or something, we have other guys, so we don't have to rush a guy back early. And it'll be, at that point where all 4 will be fresh, and then we can really, really run the football. And so, and that's the goal. And, the goal is always to run the football like this the last couple of years, but we couldn't really get it moving like that. So it's kind of, I guess, a good thing that we finally got it to that level, especially with all the issues that we had at quarterback. But I think right now we still have to be balanced. We still have to throw the ball vertical. We still have to take shots down the field, have a good group of receivers. They do a great job of blocking, so we got to reward them with some catches. So we won't be overly predictable, but we know that, and the biggest thing, we feel like we can run the football. So we'll definitely keep running it, but we still have to take our chances in the passing game. And our quarterbacks, like I said, they have to be consistent when we take advantage of other things that they give us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you look at this Mississippi Valley State team, some people will look at them and say this is Mississippi Valley. They're at the bottom of the SWAC East. Obviously, Kendrick Wade is doing everything he can to guide this program to some wins and success. But what is something that just jumps off the chart when you look at this Valley team that maybe most people don't pay attention to?
Yeah, I think it's just the kids. It's the kids that go there, the fighting spirit that they have. I mean, they compete. I mean, they play hard regardless of the score. They're not going to give up. They're going to be fundamentally sound. They're going to know where they're supposed to be. But I just think the effort level. And I think in talking with Coach Wade last year, He understands the mission. He went to Valley, so he understands the things that they have, the things that they have working against. And so, they're going to win some football games this year. We just hope it's not this week, but we know that they're a team that they're going to win some games just because they compete so hard. And the record playing Valley doesn't matter. You're going to get a good competitive football game. It's a SWAC football game. They're going to come out there and compete. And if we are not ready to play, then we'll be, sitting here on the sad end of the stick. So we know we have to go out there and get ready to play. We played them last year. The score was 24-3 at half. The final score was 24-3. We couldn't score anymore. We were trying. And so, and those guys just kept playing the entire football game. And if our defense hadn't kept making plays, then they would have caught up with us. So we understand the mission, and we understand that, hey, it's a home game. It's a great chance, great opportunity to play Division I football in Montgomery. We're excited about it, and we want to get the home fans to go home with a win this week. We've kind of let them down after having all that great homecoming crowd. Everybody did a great job with us. As the football team, we didn't deliver on our promise, so we have to come back and get that done this week.
I want to shift to your defense real quick. Obviously, you have a lot of playmakers, but specifically when you start talking about DeMarcus Cunningham and Rico Dozier, I mean, guys that are just, all over the place on the field. How much of a difference have they made in your defense and basically being your leaders on that side of the ball?
Yeah, just two great kids. I mean, they play hard. Watching those guys, Rico transferred in from Pine Bluff, and we played against him 2 years ago. He's from Abbeville, Alabama, so I told him it's like a homecoming for him. He's really adjusted to what we're doing, and just from a leadership standpoint, now he's a lot more vocal. Guy that's just out there, just loves football, loves to prepare, doesn't say a whole lot, but he'll hit you and he'll play hard. And I think Cunningham is the guy that's been more of the vocal leader, and it's been so fun watching him from a first-year guy. When we got here, he was still learning the game, still hesitant, still thinking too much, not believing in himself. And then last year he took that huge step, playing next to Colton Adams. And now this year he's really becoming an all-conference type player. I think both of those guys are competing to be all-conference, competing to be defensive player of the years. And it's a great competition as they push each other. And having both of them on the field is a huge advantage to us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, my next question is more from a schedule standpoint. Obviously, after the Mississippi Valley State game, you have a bye week. How big do you think that bye week will be for you guys? Because I was looking at the schedule. You have the Magic City Classic next. And then after that, you have Alcorn, and then, of course, Grambling, and then, of course, Jackson State, and then Prairie View. And then, of course, the Tuskegee, the game against Tuskegee. How important will that bye week be?
Yeah, it'll be good. And I think for the standpoint that we have two young quarterbacks, and actually Langford, he's the third. So all three of those guys, I mean, just getting them those extra week of reps. And then we'll spend a lot of time, like most teams, we'll get healthy, get the injuries. But the biggest thing is that we can really have those guys settle into what the game plan is going to be moving forward. And so, but yeah, it's going to be a great stretch. But every team in the conference has a great stretch. If you look at FAMU, because of that Bethune-Cookman game, because of the Alabama A&M game being moved, now they have a long stretch of 7 straight SWAC games, and so that's tough. And so everybody else is in the same boat, so we just have to go out there and play. I think the conference is going to be topsy-turvy. I think every week is going to be the changes, and the rankings are going to be moving up and down on the East and the West. So it'll be great for the fans. It'll be heartbreak and sorrow and happiness for the coaches. I think you can go from probably first place to third place or fourth place, all in the matter of you win 2 games or lose 2 games. So we know that every game is important, and so that's why this Mississippi Valley game is so important for us. We just want to get one more win in the SWAC East. We're 1-1 right now. If we can get to 2-1 and get into that bye week, that's our goal. And then at that point we'll regroup and get ready for the second half of the season.
So, what did you think of the pitch I emailed you?
Yes, the one that you emailed me. I remember. The pitch of Dog Days. What a title. Here we are. Very Victorian, which I loved. Unique relationship is formed. I love unique relationships.
With a twist.
I know, because I read it.
Great. I'm going to tell them you're interested.
I am genius.
Prime Big Deal Days is coming October 8th and 9th with exclusive savings just for Prime members. You'll feel like a big deal. Shop deals on electronics, fashion, and more this Prime Big Deal Days, October 8th and 9th.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Something amazing is happening here. The next era of AI has arrived. CDW data engineers are helping organizations harness the power of AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. The power to run workloads faster means greater performance, giving your team a better shot at success. Make amazing happen. CDW.
Prime Big Deal Days is coming October 8th and 9th. With exclusive savings just for Prime members, you'll feel like a big deal. Shop deals on electronics, fashion, and more this Prime Big Deal Days, October 8th and 9th.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day. See you next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Let me ask you this, and you kind of alluded to it already. How would you give if you had to give I guess more of a State of the Union type address for the SWAC or SWAC football, or really more so HBCU football, where would you say HBCU football stands now, and more so with emphasis on the SWAC?
Yeah, I think we're in a great space right now. And you look at the coaches, we have some guys that can flat out coach, the talent level in the conference. The quarterback position is where you always kind of look at, but you look at the kid down at Bethune-Cookman at FAM, those guys are high level. They're playing at a really high level. Defensively, we're right there. We've got some really good defenses in the conference. And so we just enjoy that part of it. So, we're really moving ahead week to week, and I kind of love the way everybody's competing and just pushing each other to get better. I mean, even from the umpiring, I think the officials are doing a great job. Maybe that helped me out this week, but yeah, they're doing a great job of just managing the game. And if you look at the crowd, the attendance, and that's a big part of it. So you look at how many people are coming to the game, and then when those games are on television, whether it's the MEAC SWAC, the Orange Blossom Classic, Celebration Bowl, all of the big games have huge television ratings. So I think as HBCU goes, we're in a great place. I think the Commissioner Dr. McClellan is doing a great job of getting everybody organized and just committed to the HBCU brand of football and the universities and with our whole sports program. So I love it. I think it's a great place to be right now.
Absolutely. When you start talking about the landscape of college football, and obviously everything's changing, more things come with NIL, obviously conference realignment. In terms of recruiting for HBCUs, where do you see I guess the level of recruiting continually changing when it comes to more players or maybe lesser players coming to HBCUs? Do you think it will change, or do you think that it will continue to be where it is right now?
Yeah, we're heavy into recruiting season. Even though we're during the season, we're still focusing on that. Of course, we had a big recruiting trip of visits with coaches, with kids coming up this weekend for the FAMU game, and we'll have some more this week also. But I think it's a good mixture of us. We're still trying to focus on the high school kids. We probably have around 60 of our kids are first and second year players, so we're still a really young team, still in that building process of getting those guys in place and getting them up to speed and ready to play. And we still have those portal kids, but I think the biggest thing is trying to get the right portal kids. You still see where you have a lot of guys that are coming from the Power Fives who are coming into the conference. I did a little report a couple years ago, and I'll do another one this year. If you look at the 22 and especially the 24, 25 all conference guys from first team, most of those guys are guys that started off at an HBCU, meaning they started off at a SWAC school. And so the transfers don't always make as big an impact as you would think. Some of them play, but some of them don't get to that all-conference level. So it just shows me that having that kid that's come through the program like a Cunningham as a freshman or even a Rico Dozier, even though he started at Pine Bluff, he still started in the SWAC. His whole career's in the SWAC. And those type of guys, James Burgess, our corner, those type of guys, they do well and they become all-conference players. Bubba Adams from last year, who was a guy who was here all 4 years, who was a 2 times all-conference player. So I think, to me, you still have to get the high school kids, but at the same time, the portal is just it's so tempting because you look at the size, the height, and and he was a 4-star in high school. But yeah, he was a 4-star 3 years ago. And so you got to find the right kid to come in with the right fit. And we've done a good job of that. You know, we've had some guys, some portal kids who come in and played extremely well. But I think you still have to have the base of having the high school kids, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Coach, let me ask you this. I know you're more of a defensive coach, play on defensive side of the ball in the NFL, but I want to ask you this question. What are you most proud of on both sides of the ball from your team right now?
Well, I think probably offensively, the way we've run the football. You know, Coach Brown, the offensive line coach, is just, I was telling him when he came in here, he had those guys drive blocking for 10 and 12 yards, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know about this guy. It's not making a whole lot of sense. I haven't really seen a lot of offensive line coaches do this type of training, but now I understand the concept of it and just watching it come together of, you know, we're going to have an emphasis of moving guys off the ball. You know, we're not just going to stay stagnant and play left to right. We're trying to move them back vertically and push the D-line to the linebackers and the linebackers to the secondary. And then it's just a mindset. You know, if I can have a concept of I'm going to practice of moving you 10 to 12 yards off the ball. So in the game, I move you 3 to 5. Well, still, hey, that's 3 to 5 yards in the positive. Now the back has to make a big play after that. So it's been fun watching those guys. We only had one returning starter on that offensive line. So that tells you that he's the difference of a guy that's coming in here with a bunch of new players, some transfer kids, and getting those guys ready to play week in and week out. And I think, defensively, just the way that the group has played, I mean, they've just been, nobody's on that side of the ball complains. You know, we don't complain about, and I'm going to say we because I'm part of that same type of philosophy. You know, we don't complain about the score. We don't complain about what the offense is doing or whatever. And so had a rough start in that first Central game, was down 21-0, gave up some uncharacteristic long drives. And ever since then, the guys have bounced back and have been playing hard, getting turnovers, playing physical. I mean, that's our identity that we want to have on both sides of the ball. So if I'm most proud about anything on the team, I told them our philosophy is to play physical, tough football on both sides of the ball. And so, but now we've made it our identity. When you turn on the film, you can say, hey, Alabama State's going to be physical. They're going to knock you in the mouth. You may not be recovered by the next week. And that's what we want to put on tape every week. And then after that, you play discipline. Don't turn the ball over, the rest of the cliches. But to me, none of those other cliches in coaching don't mean anything. The biggest one is you can't kick, you can't win. And the next one is you got to play physical football. If you can do those two things, you'll have a chance to win every football game. Absolutely.
It's interesting you talk about playing physical. You played a North Carolina Central team this season, obviously from the MEAC. As a coach, for those who don't necessarily maybe pay much attention to the MEAC as they do maybe the SWAC, what's some of the key differences that you notice amongst MEAC teams, specifically like a North Carolina Central, that are a little bit different from, say, some of the SWAC schools that you play each year?
Yeah, we haven't played too many, but just watching them playing, like I said, North Carolina Central this year, and 2 years ago we played Howard. The guys are big, man. They usually have some really big offensive linemen, and they try to run the football. So the SWAC is probably more, hey, we're going to throw it around, we're going to pass, we'll throw for 400 yards and give up 400 yards. We don't mind winning 41-38. And I think the MEAC is probably more, hey, we're going to run the football. We're going to make you defend the run. We're going to consistently have guys that can stop the run. And so I think that's the biggest difference. And now I think you see a couple of the SWAC teams are kind of getting into that mindset of, hey, let's run the football. Let's be physical. Let's have a defense who can stop the run. I think we're in that mindset. You look at what Prairie View is doing. I think Bubba McDowell was in that same mindset of, hey, we want to run the football and be physical. I think those are the type of things that can help you win football games. Now, you still have to be able to score points and throw the football around, but if you can stop the run and run the football, you have a great chance of having a good football team.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. And this is more of a, somewhat of a fun question beyond just, football. Yep. When you look at the NFL right now and look at the number of African-American quarterbacks, like I said, I know you're on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. But looking at the number of African-American quarterbacks that are leading teams now, as a former player in the NFL, how does that make you feel, number one? And I think the second part of that, too, is do you see this as a continuous trend to come?
Yeah, first of all, I love it. I mean, I just love the fact that you have, like you said, African-American quarterbacks. And keep in mind, other than the head coach and the owner, that quarterback of an NFL franchise, I mean, you are the face of the franchise. I mean, you're on every billboard, cup, mug, ticket, everything. You are the guy. And so, me coming into the league in 1992, you probably had Warren Moon, you probably had Randall Cunningham, and I think Jay Walker might have came in at 94, but it was very few black quarterbacks in the NFL. And I can just remember having been playing against Steve McNair. He was a freshman and I was a senior. And then 93 and 94, we had a really bad year. We were 2-14. So everyone knew we were going to get a high draft pick. And it's like every staff guy in the building was asking me, the head coach was asking me, Jeff Fisher, what do you think about this Steve McNair kid? Can he play in the NFL? I'm like, yes. Well, how good is he? He's better than everybody we have on the team right now. So I just kept preaching that, like, please draft him. Right? So, and we did draft him, but it was almost like you had to talk everybody into, in spite of all that Steve did in college, you still had to talk the NFL into saying, hey, we want to draft an African-American quarterback, and can he lead the team? What kind of person is he? Is he a media guy, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, Steve had a great NFL career, led us to a Super Bowl. And we lost to the Rams, but it was just great to watch him mature from the first year to the second year to the third year as they opened the offense up to eventually a co-MVP with Peyton Manning. And so that's not too many people can say that they were an MVP in the NFL. That means you're the best in the league of the best. And so now when you look at all of these young kids and the great opportunities, not just at the NFL level, but at the Power 5 level, and of course in SWAC, we've always had black quarterbacks. It's nothing new. But just at all of the other schools, it's just great watching them and watching those guys compete and the things that they can do. And they're not all just running quarterbacks. Everybody's not a Lamar Jackson. You got the Cam guy down there at University of Miami, and just watching the guys that they're actually in the pocket and doing traditional quarterback stuff, not running triple option or that type of stuff. So, man, I love it. I love seeing it. It's exciting. It's just another aspect to it, and we can do anything that we're given an opportunity to do, and I love watching them.
Absolutely. When it comes to dynamic HBCU players, of course, you have quite a few of them on your team, but outside of your team, who would you say are some of the key players that may be amongst the HBCU ranks that you think would have a pretty good chance in potentially playing in the NFL?
Yeah, it's because we haven't really got that far in the season, so I'm probably looking at it game to game, and I see some of the stats, and I may sneak a peek. Like I'm watching, Valley play Alcorn right now, so I know we play Alcorn in the future, so I may sneak a peek if they have a guy, but I'm pretty much looking at Valley, of course, getting ready for them first. And so I think with the teams that we played, Gassett is one of those guys. Number 2, the kid from FAM. He's definitely a guy that's a game changer. You have to watch him. I think those 2 tight ends that they have, the ones that's transferred in, those 2 guys, just because they have a good skill set and special teams wise, they play on special teams. So I think FAMU has to have a couple guys that have that type of talent and ability. The corner, number 3, is another kid, and I know more of the numbers than the name. I apologize for that. And so as a coach, but I mean, those are the guys that I see that have made some plays. And so I think Bethune-Cookman, their quarterback, plays at a high level. He's a kid that I think, when they get it all together, they're a dangerous team. I think they're definitely going to win some SWAC games. And I told Coach that they just keep working with them because they have a talented team. It's just that they got off to a rough start and had a tough loss to Clark Atlanta. But when I watch them play, they compete. They're going to be coming off a bye week this week. And so I think that's a team that'll definitely still factor into what's going on in the SWAC East.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this question. And sometimes I ask coaches this question and they have a funny response. Sometimes it's a good response or never a bad response, but I want to ask this question. How do you balance, family with coaching?
Yeah, it can be tough, and I think the biggest thing is a routine. And so, I take a real stoic philosophy on life that you kind of have a routine, and it's not I try not to be very emotional where you're going up and down because college football from play to play, it's up and down. So if you're always up and down, man, you wear yourself up at the end of the game. So I'm real big, and I preach that to the kids. You get a winning routine, and once you stick to that routine, you have confidence that what you're doing on a week-to-week basis will be successful in the end. So it's kind of like that. My family know that I'm a creature of habit. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna get in my bicycle rides. I'm gonna get in my Tai Chi, and I'm gonna get in my family time. And you put all that together. I guess the biggest thing with this, I would always go to the Saints games, and my dad and I had season tickets. So that was kind of our time to spend together over the last couple of years. And so now coaching, he's able to drive up here from New Orleans and come to all of the home games. So we spend our time like that. So even though we're not watching the whole game together, after the game, we definitely had those conversations. Usually not about the game, just about life and family and stuff that's going on. My mom comes up to the games, and fortunate enough that one of my sons I coached last year, and he still lives here in Montgomery. And the other two are in college, but one's at Prairie View actually, and we play them, so that should be fun. So, but they come to the games also. But I think you got to have that balance. And what I tell people, when I didn't coach in the NFL and I had opportunities, and one of them for sure was thinking about going coach with the Saints when Greg Williams was there and Sean Payton, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. So you're thinking man, that'd have been a great opportunity. I could have been part of that team and helping the coach in some aspect of and winning the Super Bowl in my hometown. But I think the big picture of it is, I chose to spend the time with my family and coach at a smaller level. Excuse me. And so, but, when it's all said and done, and, when you're 80 years old, 85, 90, if you live that long and you're sitting there with a whole bunch of trophies, even a Super Bowl trophy or whatever on side the bed, those trophies are not going to comfort you. It's going to be your family. I mean, they'll be there collecting dust, and they may even throw them away when you passed away. So, but your family be there, and you'll have those memories. And so I think you have to put the family first in the aspect of it. I know coaches are, hey, coach, man, can I go here? My son has to go here, man, go. I even had some players in my first year, and, I had an older kid, one of my players, and it was like 2 hours away, and it was the first day of school for his 4-year-old. I said, nah, man, you got to miss practice, because you only get that first day of school once, and you can't be here at a college practice and miss that. So we got to understand that as coaches, that in the grand scheme of things, our family will be there long after this football deflates. And so I think if we have that aspect of it, you can keep everything balanced.
For sure. You actually you took the answer, part of that answer, to another question I wanted to ask, because you alluded to this earlier. Obviously, preparing your players for the games they have to face on the field, but then away from the field, preparing them for life. And, sometimes you hear coaches talk about, preparing them for life in the classroom, but then also preparing them to be just men in society, and how hard that is a lot of times to be successful African-American men in society, when there are lots of factors that will attempt to bring them down. In some cases, how do you mold them and keep them not necessarily on a straight and narrow path, but how do you mold them and teach them through football that this is how you want to be able to live your life?
Yeah, I think that's what a coach is. And, Coach Eddie Robinson always said, you got to love them before you coach them. And so you have to truly love these kids. You got to really know about them. You got to know what's going on with their family, with their mom, with their sister, with their girlfriend. And so I tell people, I will have thousands of clinical hours by the time I'm finished coaching. And so we spend way more time working on the man. We feel like if we work on the man and develop the man, then the football player will come along easily, because the football is the motivational factor. But if we develop them as a person, then you have to share. If you ever really got into counseling or really got into talking to other people and working with helping to solve their problems, if you don't open up and show them your human side, if you don't have that part of, hey, I've been through this, I've made the same mistake you have, I'm talking through experience of that, I have messed this up, and so you don't make the same mistake that I have. And so I think once you open up and the kids kind of know that you're a human and that you're a regular person, then they'll open up to you, and then you can have that trust factor. And so for me to coach them hard the way we want to coach them, for me to be able to talk to the kids the way I need to talk to them sometimes, if there's no trust factor, then they won't allow you to talk to them like that. This is a different generation. Our youngest generation, older generation, I say, with Coach Markham and Eddie Robinson and Marino Chasm, if they said run up the hill 20 times, we just ran up the hill and didn't even count. We was going to run till they told us. Now, after the second time, well, Coach, why am I running 20 instead of 5? I mean, really, Coach, I looked online and it said if I ran more than 10, so it's a whole chess match going back and forth. So the parenting has changed, and so the coaching has had to change. And so, but it's fun. I love that part of it. Trying to help them to become college graduates, understanding the big picture of being able to take care of their families and be the adult that you want them to be. And that's the most rewarding thing. And of course, we want to win championships, and I'm confident that we'll do that. But when those kids call me back and say, hey, Coach, man, I got my first job, man, it made sense. I'm so glad you told me to take those last 2 classes to graduate. then that's just as rewarding as if a guy gets drafted or if he's all conference. And so that's winning the game of life, which is going to be way more important than football when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Coach, I really, really appreciate you for taking the time to talk with me today. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I hope that you have. I hope I didn't keep you too long from practice.
No, absolutely. I mean, coaching is a time management thing. So of course I have my block schedule here. I'm writing on. So I tell people, man, if you manage your time, and I do the same thing with the kids. I'll pull up my block schedule and say, hey, look, I have a block schedule. So I don't just go through the week wondering what I have time to do. So you have to do the same thing. So you lead by example. So it's always good when you guys are covering HBCU football and the black colleges in general. And hey, I want to be there to speak the message, because we have a lot of young kids and a lot of parents who are asking, hey, should I send my son or daughter to an HBCU, and why? So we have to give them the why. And once we get them on campus, then they usually love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Coach, like I said, again, I really, really appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you. Have a great one. Appreciate it.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Siri, what's the name of the guy I had a meeting with a couple of months ago at Cafe Grinnell?
You met Zach Wingate at Cafe Grinnell.
Hey.
Zach!
Oh, wow, I didn't think you'd remember me.
Yeah, of course. As soon as I saw you, I'm like, it's Zach. Nobody walks like Zach.
I am genius.
Something amazing is happening here. Climate researchers are weathering a data storm. That's because CDW transformed their devices and infrastructure with Lenovo ThinkPads and powerful edge-to-cloud solutions, delivering faster insights and increased performance, giving them the scale to stay ready for whatever's next. Make amazing happen. Lenovo and CDW.
Prime Big Deal Days is coming October 8th and 9th. With exclusive savings just for Prime members, you'll feel like a big deal. Shop deals on electronics, fashion, and more this Prime Big Deal Days, October 8th and 9th.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day. See you next week.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You with the Urban Sports Team, Ray and Wole, also part of Black Sports Insiders. And it's another UMES moment on this program. Excited for that. We are now currently joined by Maryland Eastern Shore women's basketball coach, Malika Willis. What's happening? Welcome to the Urban Sports Team and Black Sports Insiders.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being on.
We've seen your resume, so we know the experience you have. So we want to have a little fun to start, just to get to know you a little bit. And we want to ask, what's your favorite basketball movie of all time?
Favorite basketball movie of all time? Oh, my goodness. I haven't heard that question in a long time. I'll probably say Above the Rim.
Yo, she's awesome. She's awesome. Yes. We were just having this debate. Yeah.
I predicted loving basketball, but he got game. There's a few of them that I thought you might.
Above the Rim. Yep. There we go. Yeah.
No, you'll learn.
That's so.
I'm off the cuff a little bit. So yeah.
So you got it. You like a street ball type person. Okay.
Nutso, buddy. Nutso.
I'm from Queens, New York, so that's what you get.
That's why he got game. I thought maybe, or maybe even Blue Chips might have been one of your college basketball.
You can't go wrong with the Tupac, and you can't go wrong, bro. You can't go wrong.
Queens, New York. So real quick, I want to ask you: when you watching basketball, can you spot a New York baller just by looking at the way they play or their swag? That's what we've heard.
I used to be able to. I think nowadays I could definitely spot an East Coast basketball player for sure. Back in the day, though, I mean, it was definitely like you knew that a point guard was from New York right away. You know, now it's like, okay, they might be it's from the East Coast a little bit. They might be from Philly.
Okay. Can you tell a DMV baller? Because we got the Hezzy.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I'm learning though. I'm learning.
You're gonna need that for recruit, but go ahead, Willis.
I know it. That's what I'm saying. I'm on it for sure.
Bet. So, Coach, you have 23 years of collegiate coaching experience. What made UMES your next destination?
I think that with Dr. Anderson and VP Owens' vision for this program, after speaking with them, right away I knew that they were headed in the right direction, and things are getting done. Money's being put into the program. There's a lot of renovations and changes going on, and it's going in a direction where I would love to see it go. I'm familiar with the conference. I used to be in this conference 15 years ago, but so the MEAC is something that always has piqued my interest. So again, being over here in Princess Anne, I think that recruiting is going to go in the right direction. It's going that way right now. We brought in 5 transfers right away, and we just got our first 2025 commit last weekend. So we're moving in the right direction.
So, Coach, speaking of some of the recruits and whatnot, who are some of the players that you want to rely on going into the season?
A little bit of everything. We were left with some good pieces. That we have a lot of experience coming back. 6 seniors, 7 juniors. Again, 4 of those are transfers, but still, we're relying on a lot of returners as well as a few of our newcomers that are on the team. We got 3 grad transfers. Again, I told our team early on, we don't have a lot of rules. We explain what the rules are, but I said, we're too old not to be doing what's expected and, going backwards. So they get it, and they're hungry to get on this court, give a little payback out, things like that. And I'm with them. I'm right there with them.
I love it.
I hear you. And you know what? 2 years ago, this team was right there. They were competing for that MEAC championship. Some buckets at the end of that game in the final seconds, of course, led to the elimination from the MEAC tournament. But last year, the expectations were high. And I mention it because you got some returning players, and they know what they're capable of. So I think that's exciting to mix with the new group that you're bringing in. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, no, and they bring that up too. So they definitely. This isn't, well, what we gonna do, Coach? They're like, no, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we need to do before we leave. And I'm, like I said, that's why I'm here. Hopefully we could get it done, and we're all on the same page.
So I'm guessing Coppin is circled on the schedule. I mean, I was there. We were there. So I'm just saying we were there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we got this drill at the end of workouts where it's called Beat the MEAC, and they have to call out certain teams. So we've only done it twice so far. So
I get it.
That name sounds familiar.
I got you. I'm here.
Well, Coppin had us circled last year. Again, I can say us for these interviews. Coppin had us. They wanted UMES in the first round of that tournament, and they got us, and they game plan, but then they messed up because that's all they game plan for. So, and I got love for all our schools. No doubt.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, nothing wrong with circling some schools, no doubt.
You have to. You got to keep the team motivated, and keep their attention also, and also just gauge where they're at with their competitive spirit. So I think it's good.
So speaking of this season, Coach, what are your goals for the season, and how could it help from what you're trying to build here for years to come?
Our goals are pretty high. We realize, again, we're really relying on a lot of experience. That might some of it translated on the court, some of it hasn't, but in general, our leadership on and off the court, we're relying on that. Our goals, of course, is to win a championship. Year one, this is like you all said. I mean, this isn't a rebuild. This is a renovation. We have a lot of pieces, and again have added to that. So we put together a strong non-conference, and we're gonna go through that. See, that'll be the measuring stick. but we'll be ready by the time MEAC starts, and as long as we're healthy and things like that, everything should be paying off. Hopefully, that's how it goes. Come January, it's a whole nother chapter. So we're gonna go through the bumps and bruises and see where we're at in non-conference, and go from there.
No, I agree. I think you guys have a good opportunity. I do. I mean, I'm biased though. Ray knows. Ray knows how I am.
You have to win for him at least, because
he
was like depressed. Like
I was depressed
after that Howard game where they game-winning bucket. They were trading baskets within the last 10 seconds, and he was so depressed. Yeah. So you got to lift his spirits.
And we were there to cover all. We were there to cover all the MEAC teams. As soon as that happened, I was already done. I was like mentally done.
No, I get it. I get it, man. I get it.
Those guys worked so hard, though. They really did.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They are hardworking, and they're competitive. So we just got to keep that going and keep it as consistent as we can. So try and make y'all happy.
Yeah. Please make me happy. Good. I can't deal with stress. I already got no grades in this bit. I can't deal with the stress.
I know it.
So, Coach, also with this coaching, I mean, you have experience. You've been in Norfolk, but also what does coaching at HBCU mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot. It means like right away when you step on campus, you just could feel the culture, the community. I always say that because I don't like to say family, but the community right away. People know who you are. They speak in. That's different than, I've been at places with 40,000 students on campus and they just, rolling by, So right away, tradition, culture, community, that kind of thing makes a difference. And it's just electric as soon as you step on campus.
Well, Coach, I want to ask a question because in general, not just HBCUs, not just college basketball, women's basketball right now, the popularity is skyrocketing. It's as high as it's been in decades. I mean, Wole and I remember the Cynthia Cooper era. That was probably at least in our lifetime when it was rocking at the time. And right now we're getting close though for obvious reasons. But how can you basically ride that wave with the UMES Hawks team?
I think, like you said, I mean, it is a great time to be in women's athletics, women's basketball specifically. I mean, I just, every time I go to a coffee shop or somewhere, people are asking about, basketball in general. I was just somewhere yesterday, they were talking about watching the Indiana Fever game, and did I see it? And, and this is a football Sunday, and they talking about the WNBA at the coffee shop. So that's a great thing. I think just the more we engage in it, and these are also just strangers, random people that could tell that I have something to do with basketball. I get into these conversations all the time on the airplane, everywhere. So just engaging in it, and again, letting that competitive spirit out. I think that's what really, even like you said with Cynthia Cooper and them in Houston, Comments. I was about to say the Rockets. Houston Comets, they had it going on. It was a lot of competition back then, and they had a chip on their shoulder, and I think that's what brought it back. This competition that they had collegiately that led over to the WNBA and all the chips on the shoulder. That kind of thing, I think it's a good thing for viewership and things like that. Of course, with sportsmanship is important, but that's part of it. That competitive edge. So I think that's how you keep engaging in it and keep it very competitive. And the parity right there also is a change with the transfer portal and things like that. So I think it all ties in, but you have to talk about it. You have to keep it, breaking news, what's going on today in women's basketball.
I just want to say this, and we're going to let you get out of here. In the past several seasons, though, when they play against the bigger teams, the Virginias, Georgetown, and George Washington, they beat George Washington last year. They compete, and I think that makes a big difference versus, unfortunately, when Wole and I was in school years and years ago, when you play those Power 5 schools, it was like, okay, how much we going to lose by? But now it's we're competing, and we got a chance, and I think that's a big part of just riding this, like I said, sort of this wave. And like you said, women's athletics, I love you mentioned that because it's not just basketball, it's volleyball and other sports, and we support that as well. So good luck this season.
Thank you all. Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you more later on this season.
Oh, you will. We'll be on campus.
We'll be courtside. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll be courtside.
All right. Hawk Pride.
Hawk Pride, catch
Yo,
it.
catch it. Let's go.
Take it easy.
So, what did you think of the pitch I emailed you?
Yes, the one that you emailed me. I remember. The pitch of Dog Days. What a title. Here we are. Very Victorian, which I loved. Unique relationship is formed. I love unique relationships.
With a twist.
I know, because I read it.
Great. I'm going to tell them you're interested.
Prime Big Deal Days is coming October 8th and 9th. With exclusive savings just for Prime members, you'll feel like a big deal. Shop deals on electronics, fashion, and more this Prime Big Deal Days, October 8th and 9th.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Something amazing is happening here. The next era of AI has arrived. CDW data engineers are helping organizations harness the power of AI with Intel Core Ultra processors. The power to run workloads faster means greater performance, giving your team a better shot at success. Make amazing happen. CDW.
Prime Big Deal Days is coming October 8th and 9th. With exclusive savings just for Prime members, you'll feel like a big deal. Shop deals on electronics, fashion, and more this Prime Big Deal Days, October 8th and 9th.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day. See you next week.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You, the urban sports scene, Ray and Wole, also part of Black Sports Insiders. And it's always exciting, fam, when UMES is involved. And our special guest today is none other than Cleo Hill Jr., new men's head basketball coach at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, where Wole and I, of course, graduated from. Wole a little bit later than me, but we ain't going to joke about that today. Coach, welcome to the show. Welcome to the urban sports scene. It's great to meet you. And Hawk Pride, where we going with that? We just talked about that before we started recording.
No, thanks a lot, man. Happy to be here, man. Happy to be a part of the Hawk Pride.
Well, Coach, before we get into the serious talk about basketball, about where you're going to take this Hawk program, we want to start off with a little bit of an icebreaker. We saw in your bio that you got the chance to help Coach Tracy McGrady back in the day. And what we want to know is that the best high school basketball player you've ever seen in all your years being around the game?
Well, you said that I've seen. I didn't see LeBron really. You're speaking in person.
I guess what you've been around, what you had the opportunity to be hands-on with.
I would say Mac was the best. Yeah, yeah, I would say he's the best. I saw a little bit of Kobe. I saw a little bit of Garnett. And way back in the day, Darryl Dawkins. That was back in the Stone Age. But yeah, Mac is probably the best that I've seen.
Okay, I was telling Wole, AI Iverson. That's the best high school player I think I've ever seen. But going back to my younger days, we was in high school around the same time. So,
okay, you and I, we were at the same exact time, trying to make me sound. I see what you did though earlier.
No,
okay
though. Iverson, man.
Yeah, no. Bubba Chuck was tough though.
Yes, sir.
It was tough too now. And John Wall. I thought John Wall was tough. Tariq Evans, they were all tough. Yeah. But I think for me, McGrady was the best that I've seen.
That's crazy because I heard John Wall was insane.
Yeah, yeah, he was. He was really fast. He was right there in Raleigh when I was at Shaw. But Mac was just so athletic, man. He was so athletic and he played both ends. Always got a lot of block shots. Underrated passer, underrated ball handler. Didn't shoot it that well in high school. Didn't shoot it that well, but everything else, I thought he was phenomenal.
Awesome, Coach. I have a question. Ray and I, when we went to Eastern Shore, like we were into wingdings. Have you like the chicken wings, little chicken wings? Have you been indoctrinated into eating wingdings yet? at Eastern
I have not, but I will be going to Brew River pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Probably today or tomorrow.
Okay.
But no, I haven't been. I've heard about them, but I haven't had any yet.
Oh, they're awesome. I used to mix them with the ranch and hot sauce. I'm sorry, I'm going back to my memories. Okay. All right, so Coach, I mean, obviously we love Eastern Shore. Again, we're alumni. But what enticed you to say, yeah, I want to be the men's basketball coach at UMES?
Well, like I said in my interview, I actually had my eye on Maryland Eastern Shore back in 2005 when I was at Cheney. My wife now, then my girlfriend. I remember driving from North Carolina to Pennsylvania and stopping through, and I love the look of the campus. I love the look of the campus, and then again we drove through in 2013, and I just thought it was really interesting, a real interesting dynamic that they did not have football. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was great, and at that time I loved the facility, and then when A.D. Owens got the job, it became even more enticing because I've known her for a long time, and just speaking with her about the leadership of Dr. Anderson, it was like, wow, that's a great situation. And then, fortunately for me, it came to fruition.
Well, we're glad to have you. That's a bonus, to be honest with you. But also in terms of obviously you have a great coaching record. But for here in this at UMES, what would you say you want to be your team's identity?
Wow, definitely on the defensive side of the basketball, but we want to have fun playing, man. We want to go up and down. We want to play in transition. Want to shoot a lot of threes. Want to get a lot of dunks, and just get the atmosphere to where it should be. We'll probably switch defenses a lot. If I had to pick one thing, it would be on the defensive side. We just kind of want to be unpredictable on the defensive side of the ball, but we want to play an exciting brand of basketball too.
Yeah, Coach, you said when you started, you like to build, and this is going to be something that you definitely have to build up. You're used to doing that based on your resume. But in comparison to your past stops, how big of a challenge will it be to build a UMES program that has not been to an NCAA tournament before?
Well, that's the beauty of it. Trying to do something that hasn't been done. Every place I've been, there's been some history marks that I've wanted to conquer, and this will probably be one of my biggest challenges. And I would have to check again, but from what I understand, 4 winning seasons in 50 years is some numbers that I've heard. I haven't fact checked that. I'll have to talk to Nick about that, but. For myself and my staff, the challenge of not only having a winning season, but building a program and getting to that NCAA tournament, which would be winning the MEAC. That's the goal. We won't, myself, my staff, my players, we won't sugarcoat it at all or run from it. That is the goal.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely a tall task. But again, you have the resume. And this is what you relish in doing. So excited to see the journey. I know it's not always going to be easy, but again, I know you're ready for that. When it comes to recruiting, though, I want to ask a lot of our past coaches. I get to say we and our in this interview. So excited about that part. But a lot of our past coaches, they usually recruit in the areas where they're from, such as like New York, Chicago. But UMES is located in a spot where you're kind of in close proximity to Philly, the DMV, like areas with a lot of talent. I would say basketball hotbeds. So what's going to be your strategy to recruiting?
Well, coming in, we wanted to get 13 players right off the bat. But I think, like you said, the DMV area is going to be crucial. That Virginia, Delaware, DC, Maryland. Philly, like you said, I think those are going to be key spots for us. And then some of my coaches are from those areas. Coach Gendrar is from Philadelphia. Coach Beckwith is from North Carolina. I've been an East Coast guy. So I'll use my contacts along the East Coast. But the DMV is going to be crucial. So any of the coaches out there, think Hawk Pride. Thing called pride.
That is awesome. So, Coach, how about that? Even narrow it down. How about that area within UMES, like Salisbury and the Delmarva area? How is recruiting in that area for you?
But we haven't been out yet. But these are places that we want to go. We want to definitely do a team camp to get to know the coaches right here in this area. And from what I understand, there have been some good players in Salisbury and the surrounding areas. We want to try to snatch those and not to let them leave home.
Of course. And also, Coach, in terms of like for our viewers, who would you say are some of the guys on your team that folks need to know about?
Wow, really all 13? Okay. But I think right offhand, I think the grad transfers of Evan Johnson, who attended Georgia State University and the University of Asheville, and went to Oak Hill High School, prep school. And then there's probably Jalen Ware, who's always also a grad transfer, went to Austin P. And for the viewers that do know me, I brought Keytron Shaw from Winston-Salem State with me. I had to snatch him out of there. But then there's some local guys like Hassan Perkins from Delaware, Ralph Martino, who's actually from Maryland, played with the OTE group. So those are some names that are, pretty hot right now or during the recruiting period of the summer. Definitely a few guys to watch, those 5.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you put this roster together so fast.
I know, right? It's amazing.
We were watching like, wow, like how is he doing this? And this
I know. I've been checking out the Eastern Shore, social handles, and I'm like, wow, the team is pretty much it's already set. So in terms of just you mentioned your goals, your long-term goals, but what are some of your short-term goals for this season?
Really, I think you're talking about short-term and then even long-term. We want to get better every day. Okay. Every practice, every weightlifting session, every film session, every game, we just want to continue to improve and gel with 13 new guys. Chemistry is going to be, almost as important as everything else. So that's part of what we want to do. Just constantly get better during the course of the year.
Coach, UMES is growing as a brand, and that's something that we haven't always had. When you think certain HBCUs like Howard and others, sorry, Willis, but you think of brand names, and UMES from an academic standpoint, the campus is beautiful. It's growing. We got to get it to where athletics is right there with that, and I hope that basketball can be part of that, and I'm looking forward to seeing your vision being laid out. I just want to say that before we let you go.
Okay, no, I'm used to it, man. I'm used to it. I think me and my staff are coming in at the right time. Like you said, academics has always been soaring. Enrollment is going up. We have a bunch of new coaches within athletics. Everybody's passionate about being here and winning. So it should be good. That the athletic brand should definitely grow this year.
Absolutely. All right, well, Coach, this is one of many. We'll be seeing you.
Okay.
Looking forward to the journey.
And we'll be there too.
We'll be right there along the ride.
And we'll be there. We'll be there on campus too.
Oh, so you coming to Heights?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay,
it's happening.
Coming to homecoming?
Yeah, you'll see.
Okay.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
All right, cool. Look, also on the social media front, I'm trying to find those groups on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Tell them to find me.
Okay.
Tell them to find me.
I know
I'd like to have a lot of following.
I got a Facebook. We have a Facebook group. So there's a Facebook group. So I'll
email it to me.
I will.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Coach.
Okay. Appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir.
Hawk Pride.
Catch it.
Catch it.